through some mud, snow, and otherwise raw conditions, join us for a hike up Halcott Mountain, a Catskill 3500 bushwhack.
Well, today we are hiking Halcott Mountain, not to be confused and pronounced Halcott. Nope, it's pronounced Halcott. We might do it as a loop. Might do it as an out and back, but we'll bring you along. The hike begins here on Route 42, not a marked trail. Small parking area that can fit about 6 cars. And in the wetter months, you get a nice waterfall. We are making our way up the bushwhack. We've come across, there's one up there on the hill somewhere, rock stacks. You'll see these a lot in the Catskills. Professor Mike Kuders has told me that 90% of these that you see are from farming. As you know, the Catskills are very rocky, so as they were plowing the fields, or trying to plow the fields, they would stack the rocks in piles and then farm around it. And the other 10% of these rock stacks are, he thinks, Native American burial sites.
Or the theory I like to go with, ancient aliens.
Absolutely. So, one of the bushwhack routes takes you up a creek on the bluff, and you go through a fairly substantial hemlock forest with some fairly large trees. And something that's very sad, hemlock woolly adelgid has made it to this stand of hemlock trees here on Halcott. And it's not super old trees, but they are fairly, probably 1800s they were born. And this is heavy infestation of hemlock woolly adelgid. And it's very sad. My hope is some of these trees can hold it off, because usually when a tree gets infected, 7 to 9 years, it dies fully. It's scary. It's scary to see all these invasive species just taking over everywhere. And to make it somewhat festive, a light snow is falling. Snack time?
Bit hard to tell on the video, but it's snowing actually pretty good. So we got the shells out, which when it's like 38 and snowing and you're climbing, there's just no easy gear to wear without you sweating to death. So we're trying to keep interchanging, but we're probably what? I wouldn't say 3/4, but almost more than halfway up Halcott. We've been following the herd path that once you get past the muddy area by the parking lot, it's a pretty darn good herd path, and it's the way that most people come up here. Yep. It's kind of settled in enough that if you're going to do Halcott, it's the way to go, so you don't do any more damage on the way up.
Travel on a durable surface.
That's right. And leave no trace.
This is becoming a durable surface.
Ah, there's the snowflakes. Well, we'll take you on up. See you later.
We have made it to what I like to call the punch bowl. Sort of like where the stream starts, right down here. It's coming out of the ground right there. And then you're surrounded by 3 sides by the mountain. So your little carved out bowl. We're going up there. It's snowing pretty good. How do you feel about the snow? Yeah. Meh. And if you look over here, you see a little bit of snow still on the shady side of the mountain. This time of year, the shady sides hold on to ice for quite a bit. So a lot of times you need spikes for that side and then bare boots on the other, sunny side. Made it to the can. Snowing pretty good up here on the summit of Halcott.
For sure.
Huh?
For sure.
I'm having like wardrobe malfunction here.
Well, you know.
Well, step one on a day like this is to change out of your wet stuff. It's cold. Well, temperature wise, it's not so cold, but with the snow, it's definitely damp. So we are doing a quick outfit change and running off the summit.
Yeah. No dawdling.
We'll take you along. Well, burst of heavy snow since we've come up. It's about a half an inch. Got the spikes, we're coming down. So all that's doing right now is making snowballs on the bottom of the spikes. But still gives you better traction than nothing on your feet. The snow level has dropped immensely because this was just leaves on the way up. We're rushing back to the car so we can get off the notch before it accumulates down there. Whee! We have dropped enough in elevation. Snow line is above us, kind of where it's foggy up there on the ridge. And now it's just raining down here, but it was mixed. Kind of a wet day. Goes to show you should always be prepared, because the forecast for today called for an occasional afternoon shower. I would say this is more like rain. And if we didn't have spikes, it would have been not a good time. What's happening?
Go.
Oh, you're holding back a branch. Thank you much. We have made it back to the top falls.
Howdy.
Hi.
With a motion, Mo.
Yeah.
Well, we have
It was damp.
we have made it back down, quite damp, from Halcott.
And very wet too. My pants really got
Yeah. Well, it was snowing up top, and then it snowed quite a ways down, and then it turned to rain. So
Definitely a day to be prepared.
yeah.
Forecast was a little bit more intense.
Well, the forecast was like showers.
An occasional shower.
Right.
But
Whereas,
above 2,000 feet, it was snowstorm.
yeah,
About an inch on top.
at least, yeah, when we left the top.
So spikes definitely came in handy on the way down.
And it was probably another 1,000 feet lower of snow
Yep.
going on the way down than on the way up. So, yeah, we managed to. I think we're both tired.
I was just listening in depth to your.
Oh, were you?
But we also, a raincoat would have been. We had a raincoat, but if you didn't have a raincoat,
It would have been miserable.
You've been cold.
And we actually probably should have had 2 raincoats because you needed the shell for the way up to stay warm, and when the snow finally kicked in high up, you needed it. But by the time you got to the top, that shell was soaked on the outside from the snow
And on
from
the inside from sweat. So I put my puffy coat on with dry clothes on the summit, but if you just had a puffy down coat, it would be soaked by the time you were
Right,
down.
right.
So
It was that kind of weather that
you bring it all, even though I know everybody wants light.
yeah.
Save the weight. If you don't have it on a day like today, it could be rough, very rough.
No, this is the kind of temperature where no matter how hard it snows, like as soon as it touches you, it melts. So it's not cold enough to kind of just fall off your
And
shell.
Temperature at the base here is 44.
Yeah.
So the summit was probably about 30 because it's
If
very
that,
wet snow.
Yeah, it was.
And that's cold.
Which then managed to cake the microspikes, which made for a fun descent. But we made it.
Yeah. It was a good day.
I think Mo has now marked off Halcott for
Oh yeah.
his March grid.
I'll put it in.
Since he's a mad critter.
No, I just like keeping track of it. And so it's always been nice.
Well, he does it for a living, so he's on mountains all the time.
It's
so.
been fun to kind of like today. Jeff was like, I kind of want to go hiking. And so I looked and I said, well, I need Halcott for March. So
And we both had the day off.
gave us a reason to come.
So it was fun to get out. And for those who are wondering what the grid is, there are the Catskill 3500, which are the peaks above 3500. And if you do all those, and then 4 of them again in the winter, you get to say you're part of the Catskill 3500 Club. But if you want to do the grid, you've got to do each of those in every month. So
In no particular order. People
Right.
think you have to do them all in January and then you do them all in February. And it's
no,
like,
no.
that would be really, I mean,
So-
I'm sure someone's going to attempt to do it that way.
Oh, I'm sure people have already.
But that's basically you're hiking every day, literally every
But
day.
both of us, since we've done the 35, there's 33 now because 2 of them are no longer publicly accessible. So there used to be 35, but both
for the grid,
still are 35.
for
but,
the grid, there is still 35. They've made substitutions, which I wish they hadn't. I wish they didn't do that.
well, we're not tracking the substitutions, but Mo has a whole bunch of little notepads where he keeps track, and I've got a giant spreadsheet where I keep track.
Well,
So,
I keep track on my phone.
yeah, on little notes.
Oh, when you said notepad, I thought you meant actual paper.
Apple Notepad,
Apple notepad, yes.
and I have a big Google sheet that has it all out. So
And then
that
it's nice to
it's kind of cool to
see
just,
these mountains every month of the year because they drastically change. Even sometimes if you hike a mountain in early April and hike the same mountain again in April, but at the end of April, it's different.
different. Well, here, end of March, it was snowing. Whereas I think end of March last year, it was nicer weather.
And the end of March the year before that was 3 feet of snow on the ground, so you never know.
Totally.
It's always different.
Well, we're going to dry out, head home. And
We had some folks coming up late. I don't know if they were doing multiple peaks today, but
yeah, passed them at like almost 3 o'clock, and they were not even halfway up. So I know it's daylight longer, but it's always better to start a little bit earlier than that.
unless your intent is to hike in the night.
True.
But
That's another list we
safety
have
first.
of hiking 35 at night. But that's for another day.
Raw day here in the Catskills.
Yeah. I'm looking
Temperature
forward
went
to-
down. It's now 43.
I'm looking forward to the heat and drying out.
And a hot tub. Oh yeah, we don't have one of those. Not yet.
Unfortunately.
Not yet.
No. Well, thanks for coming along.
Cheers.
Bye. Interested in more Catskill bushwhacks? Check out our trip up Catskill High Peak. Want more challenge? Check out the bushwhack of North Dome, maybe the most challenging and rugged? Follow us along on Friday, Balsam Cap, Rocky and Lone in the heart of the Catskill High Peaks.